Kyo. Edo, a small fishing village at the time, quickly transformed into the seat of the Tokugawa shogunate, a military government that ruled Japan for more than 260 years. Under Ieyasu's leadership, the nation embraced a long-awaited peace. Samurai warriors, once accustomed to the chaos of constant battles, now hung their swords on display and adapted to life in an era where their loyalty and discipline were valued more than their skill in combat. But peace came at a price. The Tokugawa rulers were determined to maintain order and stability at all costs. They enforced a strict social hierarchy where everyone had their place. At the top of society were the samurai, the protectors of the land. Below them were the farmers whose toil fed the nation, the artisans who created beautiful and useful objects, and the merchants who traded and amassed wealth despite their low status. Above all stood the emperor in Kyoto, a revered figure but with no real power, a symbol of divine authority as the Tokugawa ruled in his shadow. A nation turned inward. To preserve their newfound stability, the Tokugawa shogunate enacted a policy known as sakoku, or closed country. Foreigners were forbidden from entering Japan, and Japanese people were prohibited from leaving. Only a select few Korean envoys, Chinese traders, and Dutch merchants were allowed to trade at the isolated port of Nagasaki. This isolation protected Japan from foreign influence, but also gave rise to a unique and flourishing culture within its borders. The rise of Edo. While the countryside remained the domain of the farmers and daimyo, regional lords, Edo grew into a vibrant city teeming with life. The streets were filled with merchants hawking their goods, children running to buy sweets, and travelers marveling at the grand samurai residences. The city's famous Yoshiwara district became a center of entertainment, offering kabuki theater performances, puppet shows, and the company of courtesans, whose beauty and wit were celebrated in song and literature. This was also the age of the ukiyo-e, or pictures of the floating world, a stunning art form that captured the fleeting beauty of Edo life. Artists like Hokusai and Hiroshige immortalized landscapes, seasons, and scenes from daily life with exquisite detail. Their work would one day captivate audiences far beyond Japan's borders, though few could have imagined it at the time. A cultural renaissance. The Edo period wasn't just about art. It was also an era of intellectual and literary growth. Samurai studied not only the way of the sword but also Confucian philosophy, poetry, and calligraphy. Haiku, a form of short, evocative poetry, flourished under masters like Matsuo Basho, whose verses captured the beauty of nature in just a few words. Farmers, despite their hard lives, celebrated the changing seasons with festivals, while merchants grew rich and funded extravagant cultural projects. Even common people found joy in the bustling markets, the aromas of grilled fish, and the sound of laughter echoing through the streets. The end of an era. Yet no era lasts forever. By the mid-19th century, cracks began to appear in the Tokugawa shogunate's armor. The rigid social structure left many dissatisfied, especially the samurai, who had little to do in a time of peace. Meanwhile, the world outside Japan was changing rapidly. Western nations, armed with powerful ships and advanced weaponry, demanded that Japan open its doors to trade. In 1853, Commodore Matthew Perry of the United States arrived with a fleet of black ships, forcing the shogunate to sign unequal treaties. These events weakened the Tokugawa's authority and ignited calls for change. By 1868, the Tokugawa shogunate fell, and the emperor was restored to power in what became known as the Meiji Restoration. The Edo period ended, but its legacy lived on. It was a time of peace, culture, and beauty, a chapter in Japan's history where the people, though bound by strict rules, found ways to thrive and create. To this day, the spirit of Edo lingers in the quiet streets of Kyoto, the timeless prints of Hokusai, and the whispers of history that echo through the bustling city of Tokyo.